Loneliness. Is that you? Are you feeling lonely? This is really a topic of discussion for the day. 61% of adults in the United States report being lonely. Is that you? If so, this is a discussion you definitely want to hear. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are here with the Dr. Rosina Bakari, our favorite empowerment psychologist, who is really going to break down the three main reasons or three reasons why people are lonely and why people are struggling with loneliness. So, welcome, Dr. Bakari. All right, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling loved, not lonely.
Okay. That's what, hey, this is what we want to hear because this is really a topic. I mean, even when you're all over the internet, when you look at magazines, whatever podcasts, everybody is really talking about, it seems like it's a real epidemic now. I mean, 61%, that's a big, that's a big portion of adults in the United States. It's probably a larger portion than that. It's just the people that they could get a hold of. They can just get a hold of a certain amount of people. But you said that there's three causes of loneliness, at least three, right? And so can you give us those three and then get into each one of those?
I can. So there are many, many causes of loneliness. So it's not just three, but I wanted to pick out three that people that are unsuspecting, right? That may not come to your mind initially when you hear the word or someone say, I'm lonely. So again, I don't want to minimize because there are a lot of reasons, some that are really beyond people's control as to why they may be lonely. So for example, they may have some condition that prevents them from having a high level active life or something like that. They may be in a hospital. They may be. So there are many reasons why people may feel a sense of loneliness. But I want to talk about three that people may not really realize is contributing to their loneliness. So I'll go over them fast, and then we can, of course, backtrack and talk about them one-on-one. One is that people carry secrets that contribute to their sense of isolation and loneliness. So the secrets that we carry can keep us lonely. People are low risk takers. So for whatever reason, and many of those reasons we have mentioned in our conversations with one another, people have developed a low tolerance for risk. So because they have such a low tolerance for risk, they miss out on opportunities that could fulfill that space where loneliness now takes over and fills them. And the last one is that people's sense of dysregulation, their challenges in regulating their emotions can also contribute to isolation. People don't want to be around, or people walk on eggshells. So if people don't feel like they are able to be their authentic self in your presence, then it's really difficult for people to hold space for you to show up as your authentic self in those relationships. So instead, sometimes even when you have lots of friends in your space, you may still feel a sense of loneliness. So those are the three that I want us to tackle today.
Okay, so off the top of my head, when I hear people not willing to, they're like really low risk takers or this sense of dysregulation, those off the top of my head, I can kind of understand how that can contribute to loneliness. How does carrying secrets contribute to loneliness, right? Because I don't necessarily have to divulge my secrets to everybody that I have some type of relationship with, right? So, how does that contribute to loneliness?
Thank you for phrasing that like that, because letting go of secrets is not about telling a person that you want to be in relationship with. It's about putting down the secret so that it no longer holds a space of shame in your life. So when we hold secrets, those secrets are frequently connected to shame. And it could be secrets from our childhood or abuse. It could be secrets that we're seeing a person who's in a relationship with someone else, a secret of infidelity. It could be a secret around money. It could be a secret around some of our personal goals. We may be working on this big, huge, gigantic goal that we've been working on for years. Maybe we're writing the ultimate novel and it's really taking up a lot of our time, but we don't want to jinx it. Sometimes people hold secrets if they've had, for example, a previous miscarriage and they don't want to blow this one, so they don't tell anyone that they are with child. And so meanwhile, when you're doing that, in order to hold that secret, we often isolate ourselves from people. So while holding on to a secret may give us a sense of safety or protection, it also sets us up for the vulnerability of isolation. So we don't get support that we need. We don't get the sense of love that we need. Can you imagine, and I've seen this before, more than once, where a woman is with child and is fearful about carrying that child to delivery, and so they don't tell anyone. They may not tell anyone till their third trimester. So for 6 months, they're carrying this secret from their best friends, from their family members, from their coworkers, the most beautiful time in their lives, and they're cocooned in isolation. And so that's 6 months of non-support that they get. And then by the time you show on, of course, you're exhausted, tired, you can't celebrate with anybody. And so that's lost opportunity for good cause, And so that's one of those happy type secrets, but still can deliver the similar results. But the same thing can happen when those secrets are heavier, like I'm infidelity, a sense of infidelity or acts of infidelity on my part, or engaging in it with someone else. So there are lots of kinds of secrets that can create a separation in terms of the emotional connectedness that results in loneliness. Because that's really what loneliness is. Loneliness is a sense of disconnect, which is why we could be lonely even in relationships. Married women are sometimes lonely. People with friends are sometimes lonely. Geniuses are sometimes lonely, right? Because it's a sense of disconnect. So we want to make sure that if we are doing something that's creating or contributing to that disconnect, that we can become aware of it and do something different.
Well, I'm glad that you did mention that people can be in relationships and can be out and about with a whole bunch of people and still really feel lonely, because it is that disconnect. Yeah.
Yep, it's a disconnect. And so a lot of times we are unaware of it because we don't realize that oftentimes our sense of disconnect that we feel on our end is also mirrored by the people that we are with. Sometimes it's hard to admit that or even see that. But if you and I are in a relationship and I feel a sense of disconnect, that I cannot be my authentic self, there's a pretty good chance that you feel like you can't be your authentic self in this relationship either. But it's hard to see that, feel that, admit that. We have roles to play in these relationships. When we do admit that, then we empower ourselves with a sense of agency that we can show up in ways that benefit us.
So the disconnect with loneliness is it the disconnect first with ourselves? And because we have that disconnect with ourselves, then it's hard for us to really connect with our tribe, as people like to say, or other people who are also connected with themselves.
That is another case of loneliness. But for example, think about with the pregnancy one, right? In the pregnancy one, it may be that I am so hyper connected with myself that nobody else can get in there, right? If I'm a genius working on this project and I know no one else really understands the complexity of this project, I may be over connecting with myself, right? So, and the things that I want and the things that I see and all this stuff. Other people, regular people, may not be able to operate at this level. And so I'm so connected to what what I perceive, at least my purpose is, and what I'm doing, and the outcome is that I'm so inner focused that I forget to check in with the outside world and make peace or space for other people. So, and then there are times where I disconnect from myself, therefore I cannot connect to other people. So instead I'm seeking and searching for someone to connect with me when I haven't connected with myself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all that explanation. I think the key thing that I've seen a lot, for just in my own experience, what I've seen a lot of people be lonely with is that whole, I'm around a whole bunch of people, they're around a whole bunch of people, and they have that life and they have that status or that career or whatever, where, you know, like that's the person that's in demand, they're here, they're there. And then you talk to them one day and they just like open up that, God, I never felt so lonely in my freaking life, you know? And that's a hard thing sometimes to wrap your mind around, because our image of loneliness is, you know, somebody that is just isolated and they're, you know, in their house, they're closed off, they're not. And yeah, so yeah, definitely thank you for that one. So the second one is the low risk takers.
Right. So these are people, as we've talked about many times before, Dr. Singleton, when we overemphasize safety, perhaps for good reason, because our experience has indicated to us that safety should be a priority for us, when that's not necessarily the reality. Safety priority can keep you safe. It does not do much for your growth patterns, right? And so when we overemphasize safety and comfort, because sometimes we confuse the two, we confuse comfort with safety and safety with comfort. So when that is our goal, we become low risk takers. We say no way too often. And so we're saying no that often, then again, we're squeezing people out. We're not giving people an opportunity. We're not making the social connection that could prevent us from feeling that sense of loneliness and isolation. So we just don't take enough risk. It may be a risk of going to the movies by yourself, saying yes to going to an event by yourself, taking up a different exercise, going to the gym alone, right? To meet new people, not because you're looking for someone to be a lifetime partner, but just because there are so many ways that we can connect with people that we miss out on regularly.
And yeah, that includes just, yeah, trying to meet new people, you know, like you said, you know, sometimes the new people that, you know, you may have gone someplace. I know I've been guilty of this, where I've gone someplace, not a place that I regularly go to, but I was curious about something, and then I went and then I met some people there, and they're like, oh, we're doing, you know, like whatever, you know, this, that, and the other. Hey, you know, this is the address, this is, you know, give me a call, this and that, or we're having this big gathering with whoever. And, you know, not taking that opportunity to say, hey, yeah, like yeah, why not? Why not? You know, I'll go and I can just go for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If it's a 3-hour affair, I don't have to stay for the whole 3 hours. But I wouldn't even go for like the 5 or 10 minutes, right? Yeah.
Right. Right. And so when that becomes a pattern, you're more likely to experience a sense of loneliness, right? Because you're saying no, even if you don't say no verbally, your actions say no.
Yeah. 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 And you definitely got to take some risks. Now, you said something about, yeah, you said something about safety. A lot of us confuse safety with comfort. If we could just talk about that for a little bit.
Yes. So discomfort and safety are unsafe are not the same thing. But it could be that my experience has been that people in my life who have made me uncomfortable have also been unsafe. Oftentimes we talk about childhood experiences, that may be the case. And so if I've had to grow up watching this person or being uncertain or dealing with the sense of betrayal by people I expected to care for me or look out for me, it's easy to confuse safety and comfort, because I'm constantly shifting myself to make sure that I am safe in order to be comfortable. Right. And so then those two become real enmeshed. And I began to develop patterns like that, that then I call them my personality, because that's how I show up in the world. So whenever I'm uncomfortable, when something is uncomfortable, whether it's an idea, right? Sometimes it's a disagreement. Sometimes it's just something that I would do differently. I also feel emotionally or physically unsafe, which is not the same. So if I don't know you and you invite me somewhere, that feels unsafe, not just uncomfortable, but unsafe. So of course I say no, it's unsafe. Because my first question is always, am I safe? Is that a safety risk? I don't consciously ask that usually, because remember, it's become personality. Personality means this is just who I am. It's not a question. It's not a critical critique. I just act on that sense that I always need to keep safety as a priority.
That, that's a whole other podcast, right? That whole, no, seriously, that whole thing, because when we just think about just how much, that confusion of the two just really caused all of us to miss out on opportunities, miss out on meeting people, miss out on even just really exploring our own beliefs, and where that could go and take us if we just explored that. I think that's really deep. That's something to really consider. Yeah.
And the irony of that, irony of that is that there are so many people who prey on victims by making them feel safe or making them feel comfortable. By making them feel comfortable. And because they make someone feel comfortable, that person often still confuses safety with comfort. So they ignore all the signs that say they're not safe, because that person focuses on their comfort. That comfort may be telling you what a wonderful person you are and how beautiful you are and how kind, and that may be, I understand you, even though they don't, I understand you, or setting you up to have certain beliefs about them, or about yourself, rather, having set you up to have certain beliefs about yourself that make you feel understood and comfortable. Therefore, you stop gauging the actual level of safety that you have with this person. That's the unfortunate thing about it, when we confuse safety with comfort. When we confuse safety with comfort, we are more vulnerable, way more vulnerable than if we would just take normal risk.
Yeah, we have to take a deeper dive on a whole other podcast, because I think So moving right along. You said people with a sense of dysregulation also experience a lot of loneliness. So how does that work?
So it's just complex to maintain healthy, free-flowing relationships if you are challenged with regulating your emotions. And again, it could be for good reason. It could be that you have a mood disorder. It could be that you have high stress levels that make it difficult to stay regulated. It could be you have some other physical stuff going on, a sleep disorder, or you're training for a marathon, who knows? So there are a number of things that could put us in a space that where our emotions are dysregulated. So that means sometimes I like you, sometimes I don't. Sometimes what it takes to please you is different than what it takes to please you at other times. So it makes me psychologically unpredictable, right? Psychologically unpredictable. And when I am psychologically unpredictable, again, people tend to walk on eggshells, or people distance themselves from you. And you feel that. People disconnect emotionally, even if they're still around you. They do the bare minimum, right? Because we're friends, or because we're relatives, or because we're coworkers. But you begin to feel that sense of isolation. And it feels like it's coming from the other person. It could feel like it's coming from the other person, where it could actually be initiated by you, but you're not checking your own emotion regulation.
I want to just kind of talk a little bit about how maybe some of us who weren't necessarily in any of these three areas, how the pandemic could have shifted people into, many of us, into the whole thing about secrets and being low risk take, right? Low risk takers for sure, right? Because nobody wanted to get out there and possibly get COVID, right? And the whole sense of sense dysregulation, because a lot of us were forced to be isolated, right? And not really go have our movements restricted and so forth. So yeah, can you kind of just like peel that back a little bit for us?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So one of the questions that I would say is, what opportunities were afforded? I ask people that, what opportunities were afforded to you that you couldn't see or didn't see, especially if you're low risk. So, and I'm not talking about people who don't have resources available to them. Not everybody had internet to the same degree, right? So I'm not talking about those people. Again, there are lots of things that contribute to loneliness. Not all of them are within our control. But for many people, those who are low risk takers, for example, those people who wanted to reach out and feel connected did just that. The internet was bombarded, absolutely bombarded with people who did not know what was happening, or didn't know anything about social media before the pandemic. And as soon as it happened, they jumped on, they created new relationships, they created new social opportunities. So they did it and they found it because they were willing to take some risk. But people they had never seen before, would never see in life. I still have some of those friends, right? That you saw, that we met during that time. So COVID triggered some of our unhealthy tendencies to isolate. They didn't create it. COVID brought it out. So if you were used to being the one that at your job where everybody said, come on, Dr. Singleton, go with us to lunch. And you said, okay, since you had nothing to do. There was nobody there to do that. Right? If you were used to people stopping by your house, there was nobody there to do that. And so people who were passive in their social connections found themselves really feeling isolated if they didn't figure out how to show up differently.
And you know, there's been a lot of talk recently now about how many people are still in that COVID phase of, you know, just isolation and withdrawal and things like that. So for those people and for everyone else who can really relate to what Dr. Bakari has described here about carrying secrets, low risk, and sense of dysregulation as possible reasons for your loneliness, what are some minuscule, right, things that people in each category can do to try to break out of that cycle?
Okay, there are a few things and if you're low risk, you're probably not going to like any of these, right? But one really is realizing your agency. You have agency And instead of thinking about loneliness, think about, what does my social network look like? And I mean your social network in full, not who you hang out with, but a social network. So a social network is the network that supports you and your lifestyle and what it is that you're trying to be. So that includes business partners, right? That can include people that I want to hang out with. That include people who have my back, even though we may never see each other. That may include people that I go to when I need that human connection, because I can be with them at a different level. It includes all of that. So if we're going to remove the loneliness, we have to consider building our entire social network up and being intentional with who's in it. So sometimes a sense of loneliness is because we're looking for a person. We're looking for a person to do a particular thing or show up in a particular way in our lives. We're looking for that person that we can tell our secrets to, that person that we can go to the movies with every weekend, that person who's going to go to the gym with us. We're looking for one person. If we're looking for one person, it's a needle in a haystack. But when you start appreciating and valuing the complexity of your life and looking for people to put in all of the corners of your life where you need people, or you can use people or value people, then you have less of a chance. You're less vulnerable to isolation because you have many people that are fulfilling you, which is not this. I'm not talking about you going out, because that's sometimes the difference. I see a lot of people going out, going here, going there, going this. So they're always filling some other need for 20 other people because they haven't constructed their own 20 to 100 people network. You should have at least 20, 25, 30, 50 people in your social network doing different things, filling out where they can go. But what happens is if I meet you and you don't serve a particular role for me that I'm looking for, I dismiss you. I don't get to know you and then see, oh, how can this person fit in my life? There are people that I go to the gym with, and we have a wonderful gym relationship. The gym is extremely important to me. That's important. So yes, I want those relationships. Who knows where another relationship from the gym could develop from? I have developed relationships from gym relationships, right? I have relationships with people that I meet online and we connect and I go, hey, and then we take that conversation offline and see where it can go. Lots of times it goes nowhere, but we'll see. That's one more person that know me. That's one more person, that one more connection that I can get at conferences. When I'm walking outside my house and I'm speaking to people, I say hello, people become familiar. You don't know where your next important relationship is going to come from. They may not look like you. They may not be your same age. They may not be your same gender. They may not be your race. They may not share your same religion. The more open we are, the less of a chance loneliness has to enter into our lives. But the more restrictive we are with ourselves, the more vulnerable we also are to loneliness. So I would say, open up your mind and leave your house. Leave your house. Nobody's coming in your house. Yeah. No one's coming in your house to rescue you from loneliness. Get outside of your home. Even if you have to go somewhere by yourself, go somewhere, go to the movie, to the mall, to the library, to a concert. Let the universe know that you want something different to come in. So you're taking yourself out. Right. Yeah. So I would say that, making sure that you get outside of your house. And then say yes. This is so important. If you get out there and you meet people and you still giving all the no's. No, I don't think so. I'm busy, and you're not. So you have to practice saying yes. Turn some of those no's into yeses. If you say yes and you go, you can still leave. If you say yes and something else comes up, you can still call and say, hey, something different has happened for me. Give out your phone number, right? If they call and you don't want to talk, you don't have to answer, or you can say no. I exchange my phone number with hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people every year. Probably talk to maybe 10 of them. Because most of them, it doesn't go anywhere. And that's okay. That's okay. I expect that. That's all right. But I want to say yes. I want to get in a habit of saying yes to the universe, yes to opportunities, yes to people. But we stay so closed that our jerk reaction is no to everything.
Yeah. So say yes and get out of your house. Yeah.
Yes. And build your social network.
Build that social network. Exactly. I love that you said that. A lot of us just look for one person, the person we can tell our secrets to, the person that's going to be like the best ever hangout or vacation. But it's like we have all these people have to fit into these particular compartments, right? And if they don't, then we're like, okay, yeah, no, we're not gonna. But meanwhile, we could just like really passed up on like such a great friend, such a great relationship, such a great, yeah.
And here's the tough part. Here's what I think makes it difficult for most people when it comes to building relationships, and especially when you're over a certain age. I'm going to say over 40, but we know we really mean even later than that, right? But by the time people get 40 and they have their kids, especially once they have their children and their children are in school and your life is revolving around your children, there's not a lot of people looking for friendships. So their lives tend to be settled. I'm not saying happy or good, but they tend to settle into their lives. And this is why I can take 100 phone numbers and only talk to 10 people, because it's not because they don't want to talk to me or I don't want to talk to them. Everybody's too busy and their lives are too full. So unless you're really super intentional, then those relationships just don't happen. I just had lunch earlier this week with a friend that I rarely get to see. Like, I wish I could spend more time with this person. Haven't seen her in over 6 months, and finally called her this weekend and say, hey, I really want to see you. And she said, okay. And we had a great time. But for most people, they would have given up on that relationship by now. Oh, you invited somebody out 3 times and they couldn't meet with you or didn't return. They would give up. Why? Why would I give up? I really enjoy when I'm with this person. We have a lot in common. The fact that her life is busy and my life is busy and it doesn't work out a lot of the times doesn't mean that I don't have an opportunity to spend time with them eventually, right? And at a point where I would have otherwise just been spending time alone by myself, I got to spend time with this person because I did not give up. So I say that to say the hardest part about doing this thing is that you have to give a lot in order to get a little. And that's what makes this thing hard. But it's your agency that you're bringing into it. Remember that it's your agency. So you have to give a lot to get a little. Now, eventually you're going to have given enough that the tide of that is going to turn. You're going to find yourself giving a little and getting a lot. But when you're making this thing work, you're stirring the pot. Initially, you have to get a lot in order to get a little.
I'm really glad that you brought up this thing about age, right? Because once you get, as you get older as well, and you start to lose a lot of your friends, right? A lot of people start to transition, right? And this was like your core, of friends, right? Like you said, people are kind of settled because it was like, well, that was that was my group. And then it's like, oh man, to go back out. And then it can be really difficult to really go back out and form community. Some of you know who watching this that I recently made a decision and I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to be leaving California really soon, right? And so, it's one thing to go back to some place where you already had community, you still have community. It's a whole other thing. And a lot of people are in these situations, whether they have to move for work, where now they're moving someplace where they don't know anybody. They may not have any family there. And now it's like, oh my goodness, community. Now, when I was younger, and I'm going to say this, when I was younger, I really didn't I took community for granted. Like I had community, like it was like, okay, whatever. But the older I have gotten, it becomes extremely important to me that I have community. And I think a lot of people, especially older people, really struggle with this, especially when a lot of their friends are starting to transition or have transitioned. So what do you say to people like us?
Get out the house. No one's coming in your house to rescue you. And you do have to have a certain level of risk taking, and you have to want it, and you have to stop saying things like, I don't want a lot of friends. Okay, then how many you want? Because you ain't gonna get none sitting in your house. Right? I want a lot of friends. I want all the friends. Give me all the friends, because I know where to place them in my life that is fulfilling for me. I don't need any one friend to do any one thing for me, because I have a whole host of friends that let me know that I am cared about, not because they care about me in any special way. This is really important, but because I care about me in a special way, to know that I deserve to put people here and 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 here, so that I have choices in my life about how I spend it, who I spend it with, and where I spend it. So I don't want to be limited in my relationships.
How can people, because you talk about people going to like the movies or going on vacations or whatever by themselves, and a lot of people are they're just not their best company. They don't really know how to be good company for themselves. Okay, so how do people get there? What are some steps people can do to take there? And how do you know if you're not your best company?
Right, that's so important, because that takes practice. What do you do when you're by yourself? What do you do? Do you read? Do you listen to music, news? What do you watch? Do you watch K-dramas like I do? What do you like? I don't mind being by myself, because I don't know anybody else who wants to tolerate 4 hours of K-dramas, right? So that's a be myself and I thing, right? But I didn't know that until a few years ago. So when I'm by myself, I get to discover all these things about me. I'm not a drinker. I'm not going to sit at home and drink alone. I'm not an eater. I'm not going to sit at home and cook a full course meal. So what are those things that you like to do? I like to work. I love the work that I do. I sit at home and work. And so how do you make good company for yourself? What do you need to do to be good company for yourself? That is important to know. It's super important to know, because when you know that, it becomes easier to find the people that make your heart feel at home. Especially when you get my age, a lot of people, when you attempt to spend time with people, the first thing they do is say, let's go out to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not an eater. I struggle with stomach issues. Sometimes I have to be so careful about what I eat and what. I'm not an eater, so I'm not excited about that. The person I was just telling you about that spent some time with recently. It's like we meet at the mall in the food court. Nobody orders food. We know we're not going to order food. That's just a convenient place for us to meet, right? No, so
Right.
we're not looking at what do you eat, what do I do? We just meet there because it's convenient. I have other close friends where we meet at the gym and have a good workout, and whatever chatting we're going to do, we'll do it before the gym or after the gym. You invite me to the gym, well, you got an instantaneous friend. We're good.
Yeah, no, you're right about the gym or running, because you know you love
We're
running.
good.
Yes, indeed. So yeah,
Right.
no,
But
yeah,
if you're trying to be friends with me over food, good luck catching me.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And for some people, that's the thing, right? Like you said, most people it's just like, hey, you know, let's go out to eat. Me, you know, if you tell me, I'm gonna go to eat. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna go to eat. But now, if you tell me, yeah, it's a tea house someplace, I mean a tea, but I am there. I don't give a damn where that tea house is. I will meet you there, because like that's my thing. And if you say we're gonna put on some hats and go, wait a minute, I'm there. Okay, I'm there. I'm there before you there. Okay. So yeah, I think that's really, really that's really important. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
What
but
are the things that you like?
responsive.
Books. Book. If
Yeah.
you like to read, first of all, there are a gazillion book clubs
Mm-hmm.
online. But
Mm-hmm.
also when you meet people, ask it, what do you read? What are you reading? That's a good conversation starter. Do you read? What do you like to read? Fiction, nonfiction? That's a great conversation starter. And get advice for what books they're reading. And then if it's something that appeals to you, read that book, have a conversation about it. Right? That's another way. If you're religious, where do you worship? Where do you go to church? Visit somebody's church.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
See if
these
you,
festivals too, right? Because now it's the summertime. There's like every type of festival you can imagine, and
yes.
you could either speak to people or not, right? You could just saunter from booth to booth to booth, you know, like whatever. Enjoy some music, whatever. Make some little chit chat.
Yep.
You know, somebody
And
gonna chit
ask.
chat. Yeah.
Yep. Ask. Do you come here every year? A lot of people do, like you said. We've met friends at festivals. I see you next year. Next
Yeah.
year you show up, you sit in the same spot. Right. So yes, there are ways. But again, if you are looking for someone to do something specific for you that they haven't agreed to do or don't know what you're looking for, then you're more likely to continue to experience loneliness.
Yeah, I remember years ago, a friend of mine used to talk. She started talking about some movie, and I can't remember this. It was so many years ago. Don't even ask me what the movie was. And she said, I said to her, I said, well, who did you go with? And she said, I went by myself. And I was like, you went to? That thing just blew my mind. I was just like, you went to the movies by yourself? Like you could find, girl, why did you call me? I would have went to, she was just like, she was like, that is the first movie I went to by myself. And I mean, we was like in our 20s then, right? And but it just blew my mind. And I was like, wow, how could somebody do it? Because at that time, I'm not seriously, at that time, there's no way I would have went to the movie by myself, right? I had to get a friend. I had to get to 2, 3, 4 friends. That's how I went to the movies, okay? And then one day, I said, I can't remember what it was, because like I said, it was 20. We all know I'm nowhere near 20 now, right? But it was like, I really want to see this movie. And I couldn't find anybody who wanted to see this particular movie. And I did go by myself. And I had the best time.
Mm-hmm. You eat all the popcorn you want. You had
I
to
ain't had
share.
to wait on nobody. I ain't had to worry about who always gonna show up a little late. You know, like I didn't have to worry about any of that. I have my popcorn. I could sit where I want to sit. I didn't have to negotiate with a whole bunch of people about where we're gonna sit, what showtime we going to, what this and that. Is it the matinee? And not that I hadn't enjoyed any of that, but it was just like, man, I could sit here and I can just march and I can watch this. And you know, this was back in the day where you could sit in them, that same one movie theater all day, watch that same movie over and over again. Nobody was coming to kick you out, right? And so, but it opened up so much. And then after that in my life, like I started doing trips even by myself, vacations by myself. So the whole thing is, yeah, you got to take a risk and do something that you've never done, right? Do something that is out of your comfort zone, right? I think it can just really make a world of difference.
It can, because what you realize is that then even when you are alone, you are no longer lonely. So that's a really important point to make. Like getting rid of the feeling of loneliness does not only come by having people show up in spaces. Getting rid of the feeling of loneliness is sometimes about you showing up for yourself.
That's a powerful note to end on. Yes, Dr. Bakari. Yes, thank you so much. Again, this is such a big topic right now, loneliness. So many people experiencing it. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. So we will see you next week, Dr. Bakari. Any gems you want to drop before you leave out of here, please let people know how they can get in touch with you.
Please check out SevenExits.com. The pre-order for the 7Exits book is up and ready to go. So please don't forget to get in your pre-order if you have not, because this book is hot. You do not want to miss it. Pick up a copy for you and your friend.
Aren't you going to be in Philadelphia? Is it Philadelphia going to be in Philadelphia soon?
August 10th for the book convention in Philadelphia, August 10th. So
right.
About that coming up soon.
Yes, but we want people, August is right around the
corner. Get ready.
That's right. We want people to get ready right now.
Also going to be in DC later that week. I think on the 13th, I'll also be in DC. So the book tour is underway. Getting excited. Look for a city near you. I am going to be near you sometime soon. So please stay tuned.
Yes, and please check out the website for updates and subscribe to the newsletter so you can get all of the updates about where Dr. Bakari is going to be on that book tour in the city near you. So you can actually get to meet the wonderful, beautiful Dr. Bakari in person and get that signed copy of 7Exit. So everyone, thank you for joining. Take care. Don't forget to share because somebody needs to hear this, okay? And we will see you next week.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.